Hi and welcome to my second scripting tutorial. Today we will try to create a script which creates a light for the player, and the light radius should be increased depending on the stat of the player. So at first I will show you how the lighting works. So we have a light layer, and here you can place lights. I already placed some, which you can see here. So by default it's very dark, and the darkness can be configured. And the ambient light of the layer, and the alpha value changes how dark it is. So it could be even darker, but I used something like that. But yeah, we can make it a bit darker even. Something like that. And I already created a script which you can use for the hero to attach a simple light. But it was also originally made for fire, which has a flickering animation. So you have a value alpha variation, which can be used to create a flickering effect. And when you attach that, your hero will have a light source. So it will look like that. We'll turn off the music because we will start the level more often. And so yeah, that's configured here in the data editor. There is the scripts category, and here in the hero scripts, I currently use the add light script. But now we want to change it so the light radius will depend on a stat we will create. So let's go to Visual Studio Code, the program I use for scripting, but you can use any text editor you want, as I explained in the last video. And then we can copy the add light script. So we want to create a similar script, but we can simplify it a lot. So let's call it light stat, something like that. And at first we use the function load parameters to define some parameters we want to have. So the Z value, yeah, we can keep that as it is. And for the alpha value, I would say we have a minimum value. So first parameter of the function get double parameter is the name of the parameter. And the last one is a description. Then with Alt Shift arrow down, you can duplicate the line, but it's just a shortcut. You can also use copy paste, of course. So we have a maximum and a minimum value. And now we also need to know which stat we want to use. For that, there is a special parameter type. It's called a stat parameter. Just need to check where it is. Here in the stat bar, you see it. Get stat reference parameters. That's the name. We can just copy it from here. So that will be our stat, which controls the radius of the light. Stat used to calculate the light radius. From the JavaScript, we already have the function update light position, which uses the position of the hero and then updates the position. We need to do the same. And we also, so in the init function, which is called only once, we create a light with the function add light. Then we update the light position initially. And we also store the alpha value. And the alpha value will be updated every frame. So let's create a new function which does that. So function update alpha, and we also call that in the init function. We can delete the fading code, which was used in the JavaScript for things like a fire, but we don't need that, so we can get rid of all of that. So every frame, the update function is called, and we just update the alpha value and update the light position. And the alpha value can search globally with Control-Shift-F. I'm just checking how the function is called to get the stat of a hero. That's also used in the stat bar, for example. So we just store the value in a local variable, stat. And we call the stat reference. So with this line, we should get the current value of the stat in the local variable stat value. And by the way, the second parameter is the default value, and we should change that to something better. Okay, for now we will just use from 0 to 1 should be the range. So full opacity or complete darkness. And now we need to calculate the alpha value. So it should be the minimum value. And the range is the maximum value minus the minimum value. So that's the full range. And so we will use the range and then multiply it by the stat value and divide it by, let's say, but I guess we also want to configure this value. Yeah, let's duplicate that too. So this should be the maximum value the stat will have, or the maximum value we need to get the maximum alpha value. let's say 10. Maximum stat value to reach full light radius. Okay, so and then we can use a Lua function. Lua has a lot of math functions, so math.min, which returns the minimum value of the two parameters we pass. So we use this one and the maximum stat value. So we are doing that because when the stat is, for example, 20, then we still want to calculate as if it would be 10, because 10 is already the maximum value we want to have to reach the full light radius. So now we have the range, the alpha value. So now we need to have the factor we want to apply to the range, and the factor is the max stat value divided by the max stat value. So for example, we have a stat value of 2 and the maximum stat value is 10. Then the factor is 2 divided by 10, which is 0.2. And that should be the factor for the range. So the range in this case is 1. But when we adjust the minimum alpha and maximum alpha, the range would be different. So now we have the factor for the range. So we have min alpha plus range multiplied by factor. So that should work in theory, and let's see if it works in practice. So let's go back to the tool and we go to our stats. So the stats can be defined here in the second tab. And now we will create a new stat and call it light radius. In this case, we don't really need a stat to define the maximum. This is mostly for things like health or mana, which have a maximum value and a current value. But we don't need that, and for now we also don't need to have an image, so that's it here already. And now we go to the scripts and remove the add_light script because we want to replace this behavior completely. So I can click on Browse Presets and choose our new script, which is called LightStat. And here you can see all the values with the correct default values, and we will keep them for now. But very important, now we need to pick the correct stat, and that's the light radius. Now I will save. You don't need to save to test it on the fly, but I want to save the current state just to be sure. So now it should be very dark. Yeah, that's correct. And now you can press F10. It's a cheat menu. You can see all your stats, and you can see the light radius is 0. So let's see. Oh yeah, it works. So when you increase the stat, the light will be brighter. And it works with any range. So yeah, that's how it works. And of course, you can also do that without the cheating menu. For example, yeah, now I can just say, because initially it's very dark, so oh, I have too many characters. Here in the character, you can define the initial stats, and then I will just say it has an initial light radius of, I said the maximum value is 10, so let's say the hero starts with a value of 2. And now, okay, I think that was the wrong character. Okay, I think it's this one. Too many characters. Should hopefully work. Ah, yeah, now it works. Yeah, it was just wrong character. So yeah, that's how it works. And you can, of course, also change the light radius then in this menu if you make the stat visible. So that's done in the currently in this menu there are only the values displayed with an image. Yeah, which kind of makes sense. Let's pick an image for that. Yeah, let's use this one. As far as I remember, I display all the stats with an image assigned. Yeah, okay, I need to add a scrolling bar here. No, I can't even click on it. Oh, no, it worked, it worked. It changed the stat and it got brighter. But that's a different topic, so I will adjust the UI so it scales automatically. But that's how it works in-game without cheating. So that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for listening.